First of all, very congratulations from all our student community from
Thank
KARMAYOGI.
you, sir. Thank you.
I hope you achieve much bigger things than this one which you have achieved, and
Yes.
we wish you all the best as well. So the students, we want to know what has worked and what hasn't worked, what mistakes you have committed. So
Mhm.
it will be really helpful for all of the students so that they can achieve their goal as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you please tell me briefly about your background and related things?
Sir, like my 12th completed in 2018, and since then I like this was clear that I wanted to get into the civil services. So I deliberately took Bachelor's of Arts. I did BAs from 2018 to 2021, and meanwhile, during my second year, I started preparing for UPSC. I took BA because it would be easier for me to study for CSE. Then in 2021, as soon as I was eligible, I appeared for my first attempt. My optional was public administration, and fortunately, we were able to reach till the interview stage in the 2021 attempt itself. But I missed by around 14 marks that year. In the second attempt, again, I went till the mains, but I flunked in mains this time by a huge margin. In the third attempt, like the 2023 attempt, I again tried to work upon some areas. I tried to improve upon my mains, and then this year we have got this rank. So I'm happy that finally something we have got.
Great. Can you tell me about your optional in your preparation?
So my optional was public administration, and I took this optional because firstly it was like a bit interesting to me because I thought it would be more relevant to the field which I'm wanting to go. Second is that the material is very easily available these days. And thirdly, it is very short as well and has many overlappings with the GS. So I thought this would be a good subject to work upon. Although, like some people say that it is not much scoring, and this is there is some reality to that because the marks have been not been so good. So I think that yeah, the optional like it was my decision to take that. And if you give your time and energy to any option, and if you try to get hold of it, any optional will reward you someday or the other. So we should not focus on what the trend is going on, and rather treat it as our best friend and work upon it.
Great, great.
Yeah.
And prelims is the one which has never bothered you. You have cleared every time when you have attended the examination. And
Yes.
mostly 95% of people were not able to clear prelims. So what is that reason that you were never faced any issue with the prelims examination?
So I would say that I got very good guidance for prelims, especially by my mentor Siddhant sir. Like he gave me like very good insights throughout the preparation. Whenever I was like feeling कि marks नहीं आ रहे, and I used to feel कि यार how will I tackle this humongous task which is the prelims examination. He told me that you don't need to hair split the questions or options. You need to have confidence on yourself that you have studied something, then you should go and have that risk taking appetite to go and attempt that question. Many a times what happens is that when a question which is not very familiar to us comes, we go underconfident that we have not studied about it, right? But we have some or the other knowledge about it. So by taking the question on its face value, we should try to attempt it, have some risk taking appetite, and then when we attempt it usually it goes well. So my strategy for prelims was that I used to attempt n number of mocks. Like I would have attempted more than 100 mocks in 2021 attempt, and that was the only attempt in which I studied for prelims separately. Otherwise for 2022 and 23 I didn't study much for prelims because I didn't have time. uh, so 2021, like my if I can elaborate more, my strategy was that I would study from various sources. Although toppers say that you need to stick to one source and you need to revise it multiple times, for me it was to cover the horizontal width first and then to go vertically to the depth, so that I am at least familiar of the different things that come in the exam. So even if I am not aware of the depth of what is greenwashing in depth और क्या क्या उसके regulation है, or whatever is alpha beta data in share market, at least I know by one word association कि greenwashing is related to something environment and the scams which are run by saying that something are environmentally friendly. Secondly, इसी तरह alpha beta जो ratings होती हैं for share market, although I'm not aware of the exact depth उसका detail ना पता हो, but by one word association I would be able to cover that. So this was my approach कि firstly I would cover vast vast width of topics, And then once one layer is completed, then I would go vertically to the depth. So I think referring to diverse sources, being or attending a different open mock tests that happen of all the coachings. Like I've attempted of many coachings, be it Vision, Forum, Karmayogi, and Karmayogi also provides the MCQs on daily basis. So there is a Telegram channel for that. I used to attempt that as well. So I used to study from all sources. So that was my single mantra.
Right. And many of the students, like they are wishing to clear only prelims, like their mindset is to grasp the content as much as possible rather than
Mhm.
being open mind and
Mhm.
whatever the question may be, whatever the content may be, to understand generally. So
Mhm.
how important is it to have a open minded in the prelims preparation rather than specifically focusing on few things?
Mhm.
The curious mindset.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as you said about the curious mindset, I think the most important thing for prelims is to have that inquisitiveness of whatever you think. Whenever you see a documentary or even a web series or any advertisement, you just look up on the Google and just take a screenshot of that. So my preparation was basically a lot of not note centric but screenshot centric. So while going to one place to another, whatever I used to see, I used to just Google it up and uska bas screenshot le lete the hum. And then I used to revise it on the go or through the gallery. So my motive was to think about different things. And जो भी PYQ में दिखा, if the government is promoting Azadi Ka Amrit Kal, right? So I would go and Google upon the unsung heroes of India, and I would just take brief screenshots of that कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट से कौन कौन से हैं, साउथ इंडिया से कौन से हैं, वेस्ट इंडिया से कौन से हैं. Just a simple one liner would do. So I think that inquisitive mindset is very important for prelims.
Right, right. And how, what importance you give for static part and current affairs? Like which one was your more stronger area?
So I think static is the king in prelims and current is the kingmaker. So any day if exam goes haywire, like if it is very difficult, it is the static which will come to your rescue. So you need to have very strong hold for static as well, because these core subjects like polity, economy, geography, environment, science and tech, these are we get a lot of questions from that. Polity comes like for around 15 to 18 marks, then geography plus environment also. So these are your sure shot questions. If a question comes from this area, it should be like you should be able to attend it with 95% accuracy at least. And for current affairs, you can take chances, make some logical guessing, and do all these things. So any day, static is the king, I would say.
Right, right. And we have a number of resources for each subject, whether it is in static, whether it is in current affairs. So the students keep on running behind a lot of resources, and they were not able to specifically focus on those things. And so that it was not very easy for most of the students. How did you able to do this? Like what type of resources you followed? What is the basic criteria that we need to choose certain books?
So I think so for the prelims preparation, we need to ascertain the scope of the exam. Like from a certain topic, किस depth तक की question पूछा जा रहा है. We need to chart out a territory, like and that territory would only be possible when you deeply analyze the PYQs. So we try to like for example environment questions, species. If there are species questions coming, so it is not very in-depth species कि बहुत ज़्यादा biological name नहीं पूछ रहे हैं उसका. We are just only they are just asking about ki maybe in which region it is found and what kind of species does it belong to, whether it is a butterfly or a bird or an amphibian. This type of question is coming. So मतलब कि बहुत ज़्यादा depth में जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Similarly for geography as well, we are seeing that a lot of like international relation plus geography questions are asked. The places in news, that is a new major focus point of prelims. So we need to chart out the territory and then refer to different sources accordingly. So PYQs, I would say, will be the Bible in this case.
All right. What were your resources for current affairs? Because this is the most challenging for many of the students. So what were your resources for current affairs?
Sir, I used to refer to YouTube videos for that. Especially, there's a playlist of PW only IS, which they used to update every month. Like, for example, whatever have been the monthly current affairs for environment in July, they would update it by the end of July. So I used to see them. I used to see them at 2x or 1.5x and take screenshots of that. This was one of my approach. Also, I used to refer to other coachings like Sleepy classes was also very good, especially for environment, geography, and history. And target UPSC ka there is a 10-hour marathon. I used to refer to that as well, but usko thoda selectively I used to see. तो इससे काफी सारा मतलब करंट अफेयर्स का हो जाता था। बैक इन 2021 एंड 22 देयर वाज बायजूस का टारगेट प्रीलिम्स का एक चलती थी प्लेलिस्ट, सो वहां पे रिवीजन वो करवाते थे। आई यूज्ड टू अटेंड दैट एज वेल। So you can see that my approach was ki I used to make best use of whatever material is available for free. Like I was sitting here in Lucknow, within this room only I have prepared, so I had that kind of FOMO as well ki I should not miss out on anything which is being provided in Delhi. So I used to ransack through different playlists of different coaching institutes, and I used to study them very diligently. And that is the reason that prelims was like something which I was very confident about, because I had covered a lot uh, throughout the different coaching institutes.
Right, great,
Yeah.
great. And have you given importance to the notes making more, or doing the subject repeatedly from the same textbook? So, is there any mantra for notes making?
Yes, sir. So I did make certain very small notes for some topics. For example, in ancient history, there are some ports and some trade routes, some books which are written by different authors. So these are very complex things. So I used to note them, just keywords of those I used to note them. Otherwise, for things which were like, which can be retained just by looking once or twice, I used to simply have screenshots of them. So it was a mix of both, sir. Depending upon my capacity, I used to make notes and have screenshots.
Right. Yeah. And specifically related to prelims, the last question is that many of
Mm.
the students are continuously failing. Like they
Mm.
keep up coming. Second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt, even fifth attempt, they were not able to
Yeah.
clear prelims. So, what suggestion will you give to those people? Is it about only the content, or is it about the mindset in the examinations?
Mm.
What are all the elements that are important to clear prelims?
True. So I would say it is 70% of the content and 30% is about the mindset which we take in the examination hall. For example, like 15 days before the exam, I used to start training my mind that now I have got this. This is not the time to focus on content. I just need to focus on delivery now. So I used to ease up as the exam came near. So that gave a lot of self-confidence to me, and subconsciously also I had already won in the prelims examination, which used to manifest in the real exam as well. So with the mindset, I used to give just one mantra to myself, that things will go bad on the exam day, but I will find a solution then and there. This was my mantra. I cannot expect everything would go right. I cannot also expect everything will go wrong and will eventually lead to my failure. But I used to think, yes, things might go wrong, but I will solve it then and there. It used to happen. In my 2021 attempt also, there was a lot of ruckus in the examination center. In the 2022 attempt, it was like very hot and humid, and there were no lights, no fans, nothing. And we used to, some people started quarreling, but I was like certain key, no, things would go back, but I would tackle them then and there. So this is the mindset which we need to have. Key, yeah, some questions might appear which you have never heard about, but if you have that risk-taking appetite, if you're confident, then you can find solution to that. I would also like to add on the emphasis of mindset that MS Dhoni, our captain, he said that a confident person is much better than a talented person who is underconfident. So any day you have to have your confidence whenever you're going to deliver on exam day.
Yeah, and even many students are struggling with lack of sleep before the examination,
Mhm.
especially those serious aspirants.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, what type of mindset, like, even without sleep, like 1 hour, I was interacting with one of the students who cleared
Mhm.
prelims. So, even with 1 hour sleep, they were able to be more attentive in the examination.
Mhm.
So, how to handle this anxiety, and how
Uh,
did you manage?
So I remember in my first attempt, it was on 10th October 2021. And on 9th October, like when after 2 p.m., I just gave up studies and I started watching Marco Polo, that web series on Netflix. So I kind of went into that easy mode. Ki now whatever has had to be done, I've done in the past 3 years, because this was my strategy. So wo ho gaya hai. Now I just have to deliver. And best delivery will only happen when I'm not under pressure. So that thing was very clear to me that ki agar, if I'm anxious, if I'm under pressure, if I'm thinking too much about the results, then I would not be able to give 100%. So I just eased out, and because of that easy mindset, because of that calmness, I was able to attempt at least 10 questions more than I would have attempted earlier. So I attempted 99 questions that year. I was like so much full of confidence ki, yeah, I would take that risk. And eventually it gave me results that year. I got around 119 marks, which was a fine score that year. So
Right.
any day, sir, I would say ki, you should have calmness, you should sleep very well. And before the exam, like 15 days before the exam, you should also try to change your sleep cycle. This is one thing which I did because I am a night owl. I used to study throughout the night and then sleep in the days. So I deliberately changed my sleep cycle so that my mind and my body, gets synced to that timing of 9:30 to 11:30. Yeah,
Great.
that is also very important.
Right. So what is the ideal number of questions the students has to attempt? Are the minimum number or
Hmm.
the ideal number you would say? So how to choose like how many number questions should we be attempt in the exam?
Sir, I think although it varies, but still around 80 questions, I think in this kind of prelims, we should try to attempt. When you are focusing on both static as well as some logical guess making, at least 80 is the bare minimum you should try to attempt from my side. I used to always go on 99, 98, 99. This was my in the 3 years. So although not everyone has that risk-taking appetite, but at least 80 questions you should strive to attempt.
Right. So I mean, the quote sometimes also mentions that accuracy is a myth in recent prelims. Like when we were giving 6, 7 years before, even we could
Mm.
attempt 65, 70 because
Mm.
more of factual in nature. We can score 100 plus and we can get into this. But now, do you think that accuracy is really a myth? What the people are asking for?
Uh, yes, in a way, because many a times what happens that we think that uh, we know the answer well, but when the answer keys come, the answer is different. So, and also in this kind of questions, जो अभी आ रहे हैं, like only two pairs are correct, three pairs are correct. You might have thought कि this two pair is correct, and you might have attempted कि हाँ option B is correct, but other two pair is correct, but still your answer is right. So a lot of vagueness and subjectivity is there in this year's and the subsequent years prelims. So I think you need to attempt on a higher side always. You need to have that risk taking appetite. I always emphasize on this ki bigger the risk, bigger the reward. So there's also a saying that risk nahi to ishq nahi, aisa kuch hai. So you should go on the higher side, sir, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And what about the CSAT strategy? Like many again are especially non-mathematical background
Mhm.
students. So what is the basic things that we need to handle it? At least we will get 70 plus score to
Mhm.
not risk our clearing prelims. So what is the strategy for CSAT?
So for me, I am also a simple BA student. I studied in maths till 12th, but I'm not very good at it as compared to IITians or BTech ones. But my strategy was simple that in CSAT, rather than knowing what to attempt, it is more important to know what not to attempt. So my strategy was simple that I would attempt all the English questions, English comprehension questions, and that accuracy should be around 98 to 99% without thinking too much about the options, without making any overthinking on the options. Simply जो first time में हमें लगेगा prima facie, I would simply mark that. That was my strategy for English. And then I would go on to reasoning and think and just within 5 to 10 seconds of reading the question, I would decide then and there will it be solved by me in 1.5 minutes or not. If no, I would simply skip and move on forward. Like I never used to ponder upon a question, never used to take it on my ego. I always knew that simple questions would be there sandwiched between difficult questions. So whenever I used to see two large questions, I knew that a simple question is there somewhere in between. So that was my strategy, and it always gave me results. This year's CSAT 2023, I remember that earlier I used to attempt around 53, 55 questions, but this year I was like stuck at 40 to 43. And then I used to think, yeah, मतलब, will it? Would I be able to cover? मतलब इस बार clear हो पाएगा कि नहीं? But eventually, with accuracy of English plus having that sensibility, कि हाँ, I will only focus on the easy questions of reasoning and all these things. I was able to get around 90 marks this year as well. So you need to know where your strength lies actually, and always have a balanced approach. You should not think only English I would do or only maths I would do. You need to have that balance of attempting both.
Yeah, right, right. And the most important part to get
Mhm.
into the rank is mains. Though
Yes,
prelims
sir.
is becoming dicey, it is
Mhm.
not all just to clear prelims. But if you score high in the mains, that's all.
Mhm.
Even if you get less, a little bit in interview, you can handle. So
Yes.
what is the preparation you have followed in the mains, whether in terms of notes making, whether
Mhm.
in terms of test answering the tests or whatever the total strategy, if one want
Mhm.
to get at least 420, 400 plus in GS,
Mhm.
and then good score in optional. What is the strategy?
So for GS, I would say I used to refer to the different coachings mock test series synopsis. So for example, for Forum IS, if you talk about, their mains MGP program is very good. I didn't enroll for that, but I used to get it online through Telegram, or I used to get it delivered at home. So their synopsis answer keys are very good. So I used to draw content from that. It also had a lot of enrichment. So that was my note. Like, it was already made by someone who is my senior, who has appeared for interview. I just simply smartly used it for my benefit. I also used to supplement it by other test series model answers, for example, Insights, Next IS, and Vision IS also. So I used to see, you can see that again, my sources are very diverse and using all the free resources that was available. So this was my strategy, that I would extract the best from everything. For example, the GS3 answers of Insights were very good. GS1 are also very good. Forums GS4 answers are very good. GS2 answers are very good. So I used to extract the best out of all, and then used to have my own notes based on that. So this was my strategy for means content making. And then for delivery, I always focus ki there should be some kind of originality, some kind of differentiating factor in my answers. So that used to come through either flowcharts or diagrams, maps, by using quotes in the introduction and the conclusion, by having a good presentation. This year, I deliberately, I was just 15 days before, I was told that I need to shift from a dot pen to a gel pen to improve my presentation. And that was, I would say, that single best advice that helped me get 804 marks in mains. Because last year also my content was good, last to last year was also good, but presentation was not very good. This time I was so happy with my presentation that after completing the papers, I was not able to realize that this was my copy, because it was so beautiful. I used to just think, yeah, this time it would have an impact, and I got around 415 marks in mains. So I think this is, a blend of everything, a blend of content, a blend of delivery, a blend of presentation. Everything, like everything, is important for answer writing for mains.
Right.
Yeah.
And the second attempt, you were not able to clear prelims,
Hmm.
sorry, mains.
Mains. Yeah.
I mean, you have attended interview in the previous attempt,
Yeah.
but again, second attempt, you are not able to get into the interview
Hmm.
list. So what changes you have made in the third attempt to get this high marks in a
Hmm.
mains? Apart from gel pen, yes, this is also one very
Yeah.
popular thing.
Yeah.
Apart from that, what else changes you have made?
Hmm. Sir, like for example, in my 2022 attempt, my mains marks reduced to 688. So I thought ki there's a lot of scope of improvement. So I just focus that in every answer I need to get at least 1 or zero point 0.5 marks extra than others. So my focus was on having a differentiating factor in everything. Like, if there's a question on geography, I would make map no matter how. If there's a question on, let's say, on poverty or nutrition, I would use to make a life cycle approach, a flow chart for that. So this was well set in my mind. I have to do that, and this was available. This was consistent throughout my papers, like not in just one paper, but in all the papers, and not just in the first few questions of an answer sheet, but in the last questions as well. So a consistency was there in my answer sheet. Earlier, what used to happen was that I used to attempt from 10 to 50, 10 to 21st, and then 1 to or 10. So 11 to 21st, and then 1 to 10. So what used to happen was that the 11 to 20 questions were very well written, but the 1 to 10 were like haphazard and bad presentation, not very legible. So that also had, I can say that that also had a bad impact on the examiner, because when I started evaluation at some institutions, I also used to have some bias whenever we open a copy and see that the presentation is good, there is a consistency in content and delivery, then we used to think that yes, this child is sincere and we should award him at least zero point 0.5 marks extra for his extra efforts. So this was the mindset which I got to learn. I need to work on every aspect, be it content, be it delivery, and presentation as well. So this was the major differentiating factors.
Great, great. Yes, these are all very important for all the students who are want to get high score in the mains.
Mhm.
And one more thing, Shivanshu, some students have very good content. They were able to clear prelims, but continuously they were stuck in the
Mhm.
in clearing mains, like
Mhm.
three, four attempts. So how important is about the other elements? I mean, beyond content, there are certain things,
Mhm.
presentation or using diagrams. So
Mhm.
what type of those things we need to include? Is this like in every question we need to maintain point form or flowchart? Like what type of things we need to include?
So for me, it was that I used to write in point wise, and I used to structure the answer well. So if the question 15 marker has three parts, so I used to the three parts were easily identifiable in the 3 pages that are provided to us, right? So I used to structure it very well, and then I used to have at least one flowchart in every question. Either it is a flowchart or a map or a diagram or a case study, something or the other. I used to put it because I was seeing that people are getting marks by doing that. So I didn't want to miss out on that. Earlier, I also used to feel that it is ridiculous that we are providing flowcharts and diagrams on every question, whether is it feasible or not. But when I saw that people are getting marks out of that, I think I should not miss out on that. I should at least take a chance. So I took that chance this year, and luckily I got through. For example, in the first question of GS, there was a question that how geography and history are interrelated. This was something like that. So I remember that I made around 3 diagrams in that one question. One diagram was making the Himalayas, which helped us, which prevented us from getting attacked from northern frontiers. Then other diagram was regarding the cities which are the settlements along the Indus and the Ganga, the Mahajanpads which were created, the Indus Valley civilization. And third diagram was regarding the Bolan Pass, through which Alexander came and invaded, through which the Arabs came. So this was the kind of structuring and presentation I'm talking about. You have to make that somehow or the other. Similarly, there was a question regarding George, like the geography, the questions which were very like unidentifiable by people कि ये कहाँ से आ गया. But I remember कि they are found somewhere near the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Finland, Sweden. So although I didn't know much about that, but I made the Scandinavian countries that map. Ki it is found there. I show some indentation. Ki haan, this is how it looks like. I just made a guess, and it fell into place. So this
Right.
is the kind of things we are talking about here.
So we need to justify our points
Yes,
with the
yes,
diagrams as well as some
yeah,
examples.
yeah. And this also shows that you have done some extra effort than someone else.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of mains itself,
Mhm.
essay and ethics plays a crucial role to get into
Mhm.
the rank or to get high score. So can you give some spotlight on essay and ethics
Mhm.
individually?
Sir, I would like to say that there's a trinity of essay, ethics, and optional. If you do well in this, then no one can stop your selection. So essay and ethics are two things which is a skill, because the answer writing in this is a bit different from the GS 1, 2, 3. For GS 1, 2, 3, it can be mechanical, it can be based on revision and rote learning. But for essay and for ethics, it comes very organically. So I think that if you read good literature, good quotes and anecdotes, you read toppers copies, and you study good documentaries and web series, then a lot of original content comes into your mind, and you try to look things with a different perspective. You think, ki, हाँ, I can make an anecdote out of it. Like the recent movie Oppenheimer, which came at that time during my mains. I just made up my mind ki if there is any question regarding which can be related to that, I would start with Oppenheimer because this was a very hot topic at that time. Similarly, there's a poem by Khalil Gibran, uh, Fear. I used to think ki, हाँ, if there's any question when we have to move out of comfort zone, I would use this quote. And I used this quote in my first essay, which said that all those who wander are not lost. So you need to have a collection of such quotes, anecdotes, and such life events which are very original, which are very unique and very genuine. I spoke to a lot of different candidates as well. They said ki the sole reason for my essay marks was that I went too mechanical with that. So I asked them why, how do you say that? So he said, I asked them, ki, what was your introduction? What was your conclusion? So he said that I started with Buddha, and then went on to Ashoka, then Gandhiji. So I said, stop here. Because if you study some essay copies of a test series, almost 70 to 80% candidates would be writing about Buddha, Ashoka, Gandhiji. But if you tweak it a little bit, you talk about, let's say Confucius, you talk about some other person, then it shows that you have done some extra effort, right? With all due respect to Gandhiji, but other freedom fighters are also there, and you should also throw light on that. These will be, it will have a kind of some intellectual stimulus in the examiner's mind. It will generate a kind of curiosity and interest. Ki, why are you talking about Lachit Borphukan? Why are you talking about other people? Right. So this is something which will bring originality to your answers.